Hi friends, welcome to this new virtual heritage walk on the title um, The Lesser Known Gems of Rajasthan, Alwar and Abhaneri. Well, there's a story because of which I have picked up this particular site. Although it is, for one reason, it is extremely less touristy and quite offbeat. The most important thing for me to choose the site is that uh, there are memories of it attached to for my father and mother who studied there as children, and my grandparents who used to live there once upon a time. And so yeah, so that is the personal connection with Alwar. And so Alwar is towards the eastern side of Rajasthan and quite close to the national capital. And Alwar is a beautiful, quaint little town tucked away between the Aravalli ranges, and it is a green jewel full of nature, and it's been blessed with abundant sources of water that can be seen in the natural water bodies. There are several lakes over there, and we're going to cover one of that. And when we will see the city and its monuments, we will also see how it is. It is like it is in a saucer around which these mighty, magnificent hills are there, and it is like a saucer between them. So we'll start with the monument called Musi Rani Ki Chhatri, which is a cenotaph for Maharaja Bakhtawar Singh. From there, we'll go to the Kundan Sarovar, which is just next to it. Thereafter, from Kundan Sarovar, we'll go to the nearby Vinay Vilas, Vinay Vilas Palace, which houses the district collector office and the district court. It is a beautiful palace, and it also houses the museum, the Alwar Museum, which is beautiful. It has a lovely collection of arms and ammunition and several manuscripts and paintings. Thereafter, we'll move to the Silisaid Lake, which is a little far away from Alwar, and it is a beautiful lake surrounded by lovely green hills. That will be the end of Alwar Lake. From there, we'll move on to Abhaneri, which has one of the most stunning step wells anywhere in the world. It's called the Chand Bavli. Just hold on for a little while we'll go there. And we'll end with the Harshat Mata temple, which is just adjoining the Chand Bavli, which is also in Abhaneri. And that would be end of this heritage walk, which is held virtually now. So let's dive in and go straight away to the first stop, which is Musi Rani Ki Chhatri. And here we go. Yeah. So friends, that is the Musi Rani Ki Chhatri, and it is actually a cenotaph. So this is the place where Maharaja Bakhtawar Singh, the king of Alwar, was his cremation was done, and it is called Musi Rani Ki Chhatri for the reason that his favorite wife, Musi Rani, committed sati on his funeral pyre, and so that's why this cenotaph, this chhatri, acquires this name. And this is from one angle. Another angle is this, and it's a beautiful structure in two levels. The bottommost, the lower level is made of the famous Karoli red sandstone, and the top story is made of marble from Akrana, as you can see, and it looks like a blooming lotus flower. It is one of the most visited place in Alwar, and it looks quite stunning. The bottom part is quite bare. The red sandstone part is not as richly ornamented and decorated as the top portion, and we'll see in a little while how beautifully it is carved. Yes. So this is a closer view of the marble first floor, and as you can see, it is chiseled beautifully by the artisan, and it looks quite spectacular. Yeah. So it's like a lovely corridor where this beautiful interplay of light and shadow is being played out, and the beautiful hills of Alwar in the far away distance. It looks quite a stunning sight. And there are these Datedar arches, as you can see, and the architecture is quite reminiscent of the Rajput Mughal architecture of that time. And yeah, this is another view from inside. I'm standing inside the Musi Rani ki Chhatri, and I'm capturing it from standing there. So this beautiful Bangladar arch is uh, framed in this cusp arch, which is quite a sight. As you can see, the pillars and everything is quite reminiscent of the architecture of that time, the Mughal and Rajput architecture. And here I would like to also share with you that Musi Rani was the favorite of Maharaja Bakhtavar Singh, and it is said that she bore him a son, an heir to the throne, which is why she was a favorite of his. And some people say that she was just a commoner, a village girl who the king took fancy for, while others say that she was actually the queen. Uh, but it is definitely a fact that she committed sati on his funeral pyre, and both of them are commemorated by this Musi Rani ki Chhatri. So, friends, this is the front view of this magnificent monument, and as you can see, it's a beautiful giant dome with a big finial which is rising from this red Karoli sandstone base, and yeah, beautiful. Okay, standing from inside, I could capture this magnificent work on the marble over there. So here, tales from Ramayana and Mahabharata are engraved over here. This particular piece is the life and the stories attached with Lord Ram, and so on all the sides, on all the four sides, there are several stories which are depicted from the scriptures. The artisanship is quite magnificent. As I was saying that the exterior or the lower portion is made of the red sandstone, which is a beautiful contrast to the white of the marble on the top story. So this picture also sort of frames the red and white and the contrast quite well. Okay, so this is quite interesting. So this is exactly in the middle of this cenotaph, and this is the place where it is said that the Maharaja was his funeral was done here, and the Maharani, the Musi Rani, committed sati over here. So these footprints sort of depict them, the king and the queen, and as you can see, there are flowers and offerings. So people in the nearby places come in the evening and in the morning, and they sort of light a incense stick or a diya and offers their respect and flowers over here. So that's quite an interesting thing. I thought I should show this to you. Yeah. That's another view of this. That's a lovely view of the red sandstone work done on the Bangladar roof. Quite intricate, I must say. Yeah, this is the beautiful dome and the fresco work done on the inside of this magnificent dome. So as you can see, there is beautiful work done all over, very richly, very intricately done fresco work, and tales from the scriptures are here, and it is quite a sight. Quite a sight. Okay, so now we move to the second stop, and it is called the Kundan Sarovar. So the Kundan Sarovar is this royal pond which is adjoining the Musi Rani ki Chhatri, and both Musi Rani ki Chhatri and this Kundan Sarovar were built by the successor of Maharaja Bakhtavar Singh. His name was uh, Maharaja Vinay Singh. So he made these two structures, and this is the royal pond, and uh, as you can see that it's surrounded by hills. So the water, the runoff of the water from the hills was captured here, and it was used by the royal household as well as this particular quarter which is adjoining the royal household. And here the family of the Brahmin priests which were attached to the palace used to stay. So this is their residence, the Brahmins and the family. And as you can see, it is a beautiful. So there are 16 chhatris covering all the four sides of this lovely tank called the Kundan Sarovar. And this is also the back side of the city palace, the Vinay Vilas Palace, which is, as you can see there, that's the back side. We are going to go there shortly. Yeah. It's a very serene and beautiful place to just sit and just gaze at it. It's quite peaceful. That's another view of all the chhatris from this of this pond, and the looming hills on the all sides of this particular sarovar, and that's where the water used to get accumulated and stored for the entire year, because Rajasthan is a dry state. Although this part is not dry, but still water was. So this was the reservoir for the royal household. Okay, so this is the one last view of the cenotaph to the king and the queen, the Musi Rani ki Chhatri, and so this view is from the royal pond side. Yeah, now we will move on to the next stop, which is the Vinay Vilas Palace. So this is the palace which was built by Bakhtavar Singh in late 18th century, precisely 1798, and this is where the royal family used to stay. It's quite magnificent. So there are these chhatris and arches and Bangladar roof all over, and beautiful marble work, beautifully chiseled marble pillars with the lotus motif. Yeah, quite beautiful. And this is the courtyard of the Vinay Vilas Palace. Right now, Vinay Vilas Palace in Alwar is occupied by the district court, and also the district collector sits here. But back then, this was the residence of the king of Alwar, the Vinay Vilas Palace, and it's quite a sight. I could capture some more beautiful floral work on the marble here. It looks fetching. Some more for your enjoyment. Look at this fine work done by the artisans. It's like it's been printed almost. Beautiful. Okay, so all over this palace we have these chhatris with these beautiful lotus base. So lotus is very prevalent in this entire building. Everywhere there are lotus bases. Here the entire chhatri rests on a lotus as if it's held on top of a lotus. It's quite beautiful. And here let me tell you that Alwar was, it's part of that legendary Matsya kingdom of Ramayana, where Pandavas came and spent some time. And even later on, once the royalty got over and India got independence, so Alwar with the neighboring states of Bharatpur, Karauli and Dholpur formed the Matsya Union, or the union of the fisher folk. So fish, so Matsya is fish. So they used to consider themselves from the Matsya kingdom of the legendary time where the Pandavas came and stayed here. Yeah. So then moving on to another picture of this magnificent palace with the courtyard, as you can see, and it has all the regular Rajput architectural details, and yeah, this is how the palace with several of jharokas and windows looks like from the outside. Quite beautiful. So now from Vinay Vilas Palace, we'll go to the museum, which is a guys. Whoever goes there, you must go to the museum. It is a beautifully curated piece. Thousands of pieces of works of arts are displayed there beautifully. So you must pay a visit there. So let's have a quick look at what it's. Some of the things I could get is like lots of weaponry is on display. It's one of the best weapon collections, as you can see. Here I wanted to show you this particular weapon. It's called the Jamdhar, and it used to be held in the hand, and it's quite unique in its shape, and yeah. And this is the double edged, so it has yeah, this beautiful Jamdhar. Yeah, and this is a lovely gunpowder flask, which is also called Barud Dani, because back then the soldiers used to have muskets, so they needed to fill the muskets to fire. So they used to fill it up with gunpowder and then fire. So these were the Barud Dani or the uh, gunpowder flasks. Moving on. So this magnificent marble sculpture of a lion greets us at the entrance of this museum, and it is quite reminiscent of the British type of work, because the influence of the British was all over the place at that time. Yeah, I specifically chose this particular sculpture of Vishnu, and here Vishnu is shown as the Varaha avatar, where he's saving uh, earth, the Bhumi. So Bhumi is sitting, the Devi Bhumi is sitting on his hands, and he's saving. So it's a very famous tale in the Hindu scriptures where Vishnu in Varaha form is saving Bhudevi or Bhumi. This is a coat of arms of the state of Alwar. So, so coat of arms had this particular iconography, and it's quite interesting. Okay, so this is the ornamental chair or sort of a throne of the king of Alwar, and it was specifically made for the 1911 British Darbar when it was held in Delhi. And if you look closely, 1911 is also written over there. So it's written Delhi 1911 on the backrest. And this was used for the king, by the king during the Darbar, the last British Darbar. Moving on, some more of weapons, and all sorts of all shapes and sizes of knives and swords and shields. Here I wanted to show you lovely, beautiful swords of all shapes and sizes, and so as I was saying, it has got a nice collection, and some more gunpowder flasks for you in the shape of a snail, and very well kept and well preserved. Here is a beautiful shield, and let us just wait for a second to just gape and enjoy the fine work on the metal that has been done over here. Yeah, quite beautiful. Okay. So now I was telling you that Alwar is blessed by nature, and it is surrounded by hills and lots of greenery and lots of water, bodies and lakes. So the king of Alwar, Maharaja Vinay Singh, built this beautiful hunting lodge and sort of a retreat palace for his beloved queen Sila Devi, and from her name Sila is derived the name of the lake Silisade. So this is Silisade Palace, or also the Lake Palace next to the Silisade Lake, which the king built in for his beloved wife in 1848, and it is quite beautiful. Let's go and have a look. Okay, so this is the beautiful palace, Lakeside Palace. Now it is under the Rajasthan Tourism Development Corporation. It's a luxury hotel. So anyone going there must go there and stay for the lovely views, which we'll see very shortly. Yeah. So those are the kind of views which are going to greet you when you go to Silisade Lake. And so, by the way, this lake is teeming with wildlife. It has lots of migratory birds coming to it, and beyond those lovely blue skies and green hills is the famous Sariska Tiger Sanctuary, and lots of wildlife, as I said. And this lake is also having lots of crocodiles. I don't want to frighten you, but that's what the reality is. But yeah, and so this is spread out in around 7 square kilometers area, and it uh, expands to 10 kilometers in monsoons, and it also supplies a lot of water to Alwar city and its surrounding villages. And so this particular place has like a saucer. It's like a saucer. All the water from the hills, the runoff of the monsoon rains, it gets accumulated over here, and it's quite beautiful and serene for anyone who wants to have a look. And one can actually sit there and gaze throughout the day. Yeah, isn't it gorgeous? So as I was saying that this was Alwar was part of this legendary Matsya kingdom from the times of the Pandavas of Mahabharat. So it is said that there's Pandavas came here, and there's a temple called Pandu Pole, which is Pandu Pole is actually situated inside the Sariska Tiger Sanctuary beyond those hills, and it's a famous temple, and anyone in Alwar will tell you to always go and have a visit there. Now, this is the end of Alwar, and we are going to move on to the next destination, which is Abhaneri, the other lesser known gem of Rajasthan. And Abhaneri is, by the way, part of Dausa district, which is not very far away from Alwar. And as the name Abhaneri literally means that uh, uh, a nagari or a city which is known for its abha, which is radiance and glow. So it acquires its name from the temple of Harshat Mata, which we are going to see shortly, who is a sort of a goddess of happiness and joy. And here, joy is coming out in the form of radiance and glow, which is why Abha Nagri or Abha Neri later on got called. It acquired its name. So it has a fantastic, one of the most beautiful step wells that I've ever seen, and it's called the Chand Bauli. Chand Bauli, because of the king Raja Chand, who constructed this Bauli or water reservoir, and it's an engineering marvel of amazing proportions. Everything is symmetrical, proportionate. Let's go dive in right away. Okay. So that's the famous Chand Bavli of Abhaneri, and it has these magnificent structure of an inverted pyramid where it is progressively decreasing in its dimensions, and the water is down below after going almost 13-14 stories to the depth of. So that's another view. So the depth of this place is around 65 to 70 feet, and 13 stories below the water is there. And so let me tell you, step wells were built at that time not only for water, which is obvious, but also as places of social interaction. People did not have all the other social networking sites like we have right now. So this was a very important social dimension also for the people. So you can imagine people sitting here not only taking water for their households but also sitting and chatting and bonding socially. So this is the stunning Chand Bavli of Abhaneri, and so That's another view, and this is specifically taken because I wanted to show you that the top stories on the other side are the royal pavilion. So all the royalty used to stay here, uh, and the water is down below. By the way, these top stories of the royal household were added much later in the 17th and the 18th century. The Bawli was in fact built in the 8th or the 9th century by Raja Chand of the Pratihara uh, Gurjar Pratihara dynasty, and initially it was only till the bottom story where you see those two projecting balconies. They are actually temples down below. So those are the original. Till there was the original Bauli, and later on these additions were done by the later kings from the 17th and 18th century. And these two projecting balconies are actually temples of dedicated to Lord Ganesha and Mahishasur Mardini or Durga. Yeah. Yeah. And this is, by the way, this projecting balcony, this projecting platform, as you can see above those three arches, is where there used to be a rehet. The rehet was actually a wheel used in ancient times or in the medieval times for extracting water from the water bodies and then, distributing it in the village for agricultural purposes. So a rehet used to be there at that time. That's another view of the steps. And what is interesting is that these steps, so what is beautiful is that all these steps are the three sides. There are these steps, and they are arranged in perfect east west and north south orientation, showing the level of geometry and accuracy of mathematics back then. Almost 1100, 1200 years ago, they were so advanced. And this interplay of shadow and light as the sun rays fall on these steps on all the three sides, this interplay and this beautiful image and the symmetry created by this is what attracts people from far and wide to this Bauli. I think it is one of the biggest and the largest in India, going by the depth of 70 feet almost. And many films have been shot over here. One of them is, you would have seen that, the Batman film, The Dark Knight Rises. Few scenes were shot over here by the Hollywood crew, and several Hindi films from Bollywood have also been shot over here. Yeah. And lovely artifacts and beautiful images of gods dot this Bavli on all the sides. And these are actually the ruins from the nearby Harshat Mata temple, which we are going to see in the end. How beautiful and peaceful the expression of these gods and goddesses is. It's something that can be cherished even now after 1100, 1200 years from after they've been made. And these kind of galleries are there all around this Bauli and the stepwell, where ruins of the temple are kept by the Archaeological Survey of India. That's a Ganesha. That's another view from this side to show you the entire view. That's a beautiful carving, beautiful artwork of Mahishasur Mardini, where the goddess Durga is fighting the demon Mahisha. Okay, so now I wanted to show you the view from the royal pavilion of the Bauli. So this is how magnificent it looks like from the other end. And you can see the symmetry of these steps in triangles and progressively decreasing in size from top to bottom. The inverted pyramid feel that you get from here. And this is the pillared gallery and the royal quarter from where you can see the Bauli. The beautiful play of shadow and light, it's quite evident. It's quite gorgeous, guys. You must go there sometime. Yeah. Another example of the geometric accuracy and the mathematical genius of that time. Now, how perfectly symmetrical they are. Okay, so I wanted to show you the chhajjas supported by these beautiful elephant themed brackets. And this is quite gorgeous. is still going strong after so many years. Yeah, this brings us to the final stop, which is the Harshat Mother Temple. It's actually a temple which has been destroyed. It was destroyed by Mahmud of Ghazni during his invasions, and all these pieces and accumulated smashed pieces of the temple from that time are kept over here, and somehow they've been cobbled together to give it a shape of this prevalent structure. And so don't go by the structure of it now. It used to be a regular shikhar style temple back then. Right now it has got the domed architecture, which is not the original structure, because this is a makeshift structure which was cobbled together by the ruins of the original temple. Yeah. So this is quite stunning. We'll see how stunning it is in a while. And so as you can see, these pieces have been somehow put together to give it a shape of this current temple. And this is from the back side. This is how the temple looks like. And it is 1200 years old, by the way, from the same time as the Bauli, the Chand Bauli. And the Harshat Mata temple. So these are the beautiful statues carved out of sandstone, and they depict the mythological tales from the scriptures, and they're quite stunning with the peaceful expression on the face and the uh, so all these niches are occupied. The temple, the niches all around the temple of Harshat Mata in Abhan area are occupied by these stories of deities and apsaras and all these gods from the mythology. So, and notice the benign and the centered expression on these lovely sculptures from 1200 years ago. It is quite a stunning sight, and hardly anyone goes there. People always go to the more touristy Jaipur and the Agras and the Delhis, but nobody comes here. So it is not too far from Delhi, so you can make a point of going there. Look at that beautiful peacock, and there are several peacocks resting. So it's almost like it's carrying the weight of this structure on its back. Quite magnificent. And various mythical creatures, and all of them find expression in this temple and the ruins of this 1200 century old temple. Yeah, I wanted to capture this because this almost looks like, water getting splashed. So such is the dexterity of the sculptor that he could capture that water gushing away in this piece of stone. So that shows the marvelous capability of those people back then. Yeah, and the lovely statues and the expression from the scriptures carry on, and quite magnificent. Here again, so that benevolence and the peace on the faces of these sculptures are very evident even now. Even the attendants on the side look almost, they are, in attendance of this celestial couple, and their eyes are downcast with lots of respect and love, and it's beautiful. Yeah. So there are several of these broken and shattered pieces which are put together to make this temple, and still we can see a lot of beauty in these ruins. Yeah, that's another mythical creature, and yeah. So here we see the kind of pillars. So these kind of pillars from Pratihara, Gujar Pratihara time, 11th century. At that time, these kind of pillars were quite prevalent. So this dynasty used to rule from Kannauj, and they had their influence right up till Abhaneri. And this is the kind of artisanship which was quite evident and beautiful, and it's visible there. Um, yeah. So that brings us to the end of this virtual heritage walk or talk, as you can call it. Um, so it is a beautiful corner of India which needs a little more of our attention, and we must go and pay a visit to these magnificent locations and leave aside the touristy uh, golden triangle of Jaipur, Agra, and Delhi, which is very much visited and oft repeated. So let us explore some new places and be an intrepid traveler. And so that's it. Yeah, if there's any question, do let me know, and I'll be more than happy to answer those questions. And that's it. Thank you so much, and wish you all the best. And I hope you're keeping yourself sane in this troubled time. And let us do our bit to be as sane as we can and contribute towards creating a little bit of joy and kindness around us. And that's why I do these kind of talks, because my main purpose is to spread as much of cheer and joy as I can. So thank you and wish you all the best, and see you on another talk. Thank you. Bye.